Well, hey everyone, it's Marcus and welcome to more Chatting in My Jungle Room. It is Easter Friday and I'm pumped because I'm talking to an incredible music artist who's just brought out a brand new album. It's called Colonial Drift and we're going to find out all about it. Please welcome William Crichton. William, hey, how are you?
Hey, Marcus, good to be here.
Nice to chat to you. I've listened to the album through a good couple of times now. Love it. There's so much depth to it. Your music style is just incredible. Love. Are you happy with the way it's been received so far?
Yeah, 100%. It's been overwhelming the sense of joy to be received like that. People are connecting with it, and that's all you can ever hope for, is just to create something that people connect with in one way or another.
Hey, so the new single Warzone, co-written with Julian Crichton, and also Rob Hurst. I think it's quite obvious, but what would the inspiration be behind that song?
Well, that song, Rob Hurst called me up after we got off tour with the Oils back a few years ago now. They just finished their last tour, Resist, which I was opening on that run, and Rob and I had yarned about writing for this record. And he called me up a couple of months after he got back and said, "Hey, I've got a few tunes that I've started with you and Julianne in mind. Come down and we'll go through them." So Julianne and I went down to do that, and he started to play Warzone. At that time, um, Israel was going flat out on Gaza, and there were there's always war going on. There's always, and so it was essentially that. Just his inspiration for it was, it's our home. Everywhere that's a war zone is our home, and it's like we're just destroying people's homes, and that's one aspect of it. And then when Julianne took it away, we conceptualized some of the verse ideas, and Julianne took it away and wrote the first two verses. We wanted to make them very personal, and so the first one is about a soldier, an Aussie soldier who goes to a war. It's based on reality, and he, in the haze of it all, he shoots someone he shouldn't, and the way that they sort of compensate for that is leave a bit of money, and I mean it's a horrible situation all the way around. It's just about the damage of that war. And then the second verse is about how there's a war in this country of domestic violence as well, that we are navigating our way through and trying to understand more in order to stop. So it's just about that claiming of your home and about the horror of war. And then the last verse is about the war that of corporatization of everything, and the environment. So not they're not exactly it's not a very candy, joyous subject to sing about, but it gives me a lot of passion when I sing about it, because essentially war is a part of the way we've evolved as humans, and we have to navigate that space. We have to navigate that, and yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. That Leonard Cohen song, "There Is a War," always fascinates me. I'm not sure if you know it or not, but it's just talking about there is a war between the black and white, the odd and the even, the rich and the poor. He's identifying that within everybody there is that war. So it's a personal struggle as well.
Hmm. No, 100%. And look, what surprised me on the album, listening through it, there was a song that came up. I'll tell you what it is in a minute. You'll probably know what I'm talking about. But there's a song that I was like, hang on a minute, I know this song. Where do I know this song from? Of course, it was one of Red Gum's songs, Poor Ned. And then them, that band, of course, sung a lot about war as well. So there's a lot of
Mm.
similarity with your work with what those guys were doing as well. And it's important that we do write the music on what is going on in the world at the moment. And as much as there is some great stuff happening in the world, there is definitely a lot of craziness as well. Um, and it's great that this album touches on all of that.
100%. I appreciate you. I agree with you. No matter how dark things are or we identify, we follow the news cycle. There is still important to remember that we live in a beautiful place and a powerful place.
Yeah.
I can see that you can know that by your
Oh,
plants behind you. It's important to understand that. So when you're morning with your morning cup of tea or coffee, you can appreciate the birds. You know, we're very fortunate to live in this place, and there is a tension between an ancient place and a new nation. You know, and we have a challenging history, but it's important to rejoice in the beauty and the power of the place.
Cheers to that. Absolutely. Hey, 2016, the self-titled album came out, which is 10 years, so congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you think your sound has developed or changed or matured or what over the course of that 10 years, do you think?
I think I'm a better musician. Like I can catch up to my mind a little more. So usually and it's still my mind outruns my capability when I'm trying to play. I'm forever chasing chasing that. But like I guess in similar ways to I've changed as a person. You know, I've just become a little more uh, open-minded and learned more things that I integrate into my life. And I think it's the same with the music. It's a pretty natural evolution. It's not I try not to force anything. It's just I do what I feel, um, and let my have a growth mindset in regards to music. I'm always learning. You know, I'm always learning, and that I think is reflected in the music. You know, you lose stuff along the way too. You know, but you hopefully you find more that makes up for that. So we'll
Yeah.
just see.
So William, let's go back to the early days. Who were you listening to that really led you away into this career?
Well, I started playing music pretty early on. I remember in church with my nan actually, and we would sing, and I'd play a little bit on the organ and whatnot. And then my grandfather was when he was sick with cancer, he was dying. I'd go up and sing to him when I was in kindergarten, you know, and it was then that I recognized the connection with music and people. You know, it's like it made him feel better to hear a voice singing. It was probably, you know, a bit to do with his grandson and all that sort of stuff, but just the music itself had a power in it. And I can't remember a time when I wasn't singing, where, you know, my mum would sing me old folk songs and whatnot. And as I grew, it was mainly just what my parents were playing, like all of us who grow up, you know, a lot of country music. I grew up in central west New South Wales, and so a lot of country music, Johnny Cash, and Willie Nelson, John Williamson, Slim Dusty, all that sort of stuff. And then as I grew, I got exposed to other things like Neil Young. That was a big thing, and then from there, my tastes just expanded. You know, um, but the sense of story always drew me to it. You know, I didn't find the oils till I was a teenager. They were big for me, Midnight Oil. Um, uh, Cold Chisel, Red Gum, you know, all these Aussie bands were pretty influential, you know.
Yeah.
And even in high school and things, you know, it just listening to bands that come out like Powderfinger and those sort of things that had Aussie kind of a nature about them, give you license to explore the stories here. And so I was always drawn to that. You know, I lived in America for a while with Julianne, and we were doing music over there, but it just we missed home, and we came home.
We have, of course, spoken about Rob Hurst, a co-writer on a couple of your singles from a couple of the tracks from this album. But fun fact, Midnight Oil was my very first band I ever saw way back in the 1980s.
Oh wow.
Backed up literally and like backed up 1 week after with Tina Turner. It was like
Okay.
it was my homecoming tour.
Crazy. Well, Tina Turner was my first one of my first tapes that I bought, you know, when I was in kindergarten. She re-released a bunch of stuff I remember to do with a footy or whatever, and
Yep.
I got into her big time, you know. So that was her cover of I Can't Stand the Rain still stands
Oh,
up as one of my favorite things.
brilliant. Now, excitedly, William Crichton, there is a tour coming. It's looming. It's not very far away. We are probably only about 10 days away from when the tour actually kicks off. Saturday, April the 11th in Queensland. Then second on the agenda is Friday, April 17th, Lion Arts Factory right here in Adelaide. And then it goes to WA, New South Wales, Victoria, Victoria, New Zealand as well. And then wrapping up on June the 12th in New South Wales. Are you looking forward to this tour?
Absolutely. You know, it's one thing to have the album out and have done that, but when the songs take on the energy live, they're new every time you play them. So that's the primary driver for me is writing and creating and then performing live, because that creativity that happens every time that you play the song, you know. And Adelaide is always a lot of fun. We're bringing the band down there. We haven't done that for a while, and so it's a great venue, Lion Arts. So please, if you're in Adelaide, come out to the show. And we also have Liz Stringer and I started this community ticket where there's a full price ticket, but if you're struggling in any way, no questions asked, you get a 50% off ticket. It's all listed on the ticket page there. We started that a few years ago. And it just means that, you know, people, if with the rising prices of fuel and everything else that's happening, at least it's $20 instead of 40. And, you know, you can use that 20 to buy a drink or two.
I love that. I love it. Now I'm Devo because I'm literally going to be in Bali when you hit Adelaide. It's like, no,
All right. It's a
I missed
shame.
out. I know it happens to me all the time. But hey, what can we expect from the tour? What can we expect to hear? Because obviously there's 4 albums in at the moment. Are we going to hear something from all of them?
Yeah, you'll hear a little bit from all of them. It's the 10-year anniversary of the debut, which we'll be doing some things later in the year to do with that, but there'll be a couple of songs off there. It'll be primarily the Colonial Drift tour, so we'll be playing a lot of songs off the new album,
Yeah.
plus some other things. It's a great band we've got together for Luke Davison on the drums from the Preachers, and then Adam Ventura on the bass, who I met. He was playing bass for the Oils. And then my wife Julianne, of course, Christopher Dale on keys. Yeah, it's a great band. We've probably the best band I've had, you know, and so I'm really can't wait to get out and play. So
So
mm.
cool. And Lion Arts Factory here in Adelaide, an amazing venue. I mean, your vibe fits their place just perfectly. Um, hey, are you the kind of artist, William, that once you've finished the album, you take it on tour, that you're already moving into writing the next lot of material? Or do you like to stop and, smell the roses for a while?
To the frustration of my wife, sometimes, yes, I'm definitely that type of artist, Marcus. As soon as I finish something, I'm on to the next thing. And sometimes before I'm finished it just starts coming. You know, I'm not the sort of artist who rolls out record after record after record. I have a few kids and we run a music program in a local prison. So, you know, we have lots of stuff going on, but the conceptualization of the record of the next thing has begun 100%, and so is the writing. And so I spend late nights down in this little room here working up songs, and yeah, already well into it.
Hey, where do you find the most joy then? Do you find the joy in, writing the music or recording the music or performing the music on stage?
Oh, that's a good question. I try to find the joy in everything. That's a bit of a cop-out answer, but I think the most fun I have is when I'm first writing a song, when a song first starts to present itself, and I'm, you know, workshopping it and coming up with the ideas and the arrangement and the story and all that sort of thing. That's a very exciting time. And then playing them live, you know, those two things. I've started to become happy. Like I did a lot more production on this album, you know, and so I've found joy in that rather than frustration with technology, which usually is the way I go when I try and produce stuff. But I've got better at using Pro Tools and recording and from, you know, working with great producers over the years. And so I'm starting to find more joy in that. So, you know, I try and get as much out of that as I can. But life feeds the music, you know. I try to let life, you know, our life outside of the music feed the music as much as I can, because that's where the good songs seem to come from.
100% agree. William Crighton, everybody. The album is called Colonial Drift. The latest track is called Warzone, and it's a killer. You need to listen to it. Get onto however you listen to your music and listen. The tour kicks off, like I said, April the 11th, everybody. Wraps up on June the 12th. Pretty much covers all of Australia plus New Zealand. Get along, grab your tickets, and come and see William Crighton. His music is exceptional. William, thank you for the chat this Easter Friday.
Thanks so much, Mark. It's been great to talk to you, and safe travels back to Bali.
Thank you, my friends, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.
All right, brother. See you, mate.